Hello, toy fans, and welcome back to my 13 days of Halloween. That's right, toy fans, we are back with day 9 of my 13 days of Halloween review series, and today we're looking at the Marvel Legends Infinite Series Superior Venom figure, part of the Rhino Build-A-Figure wave of toys, available from Hasbro in 2015. Now, while Superior Venom is certainly one of the creepier Spider-Man villains to show up in the last couple of years, I'm not only interested in checking out the figure inside, I'm also excited to get this figure because I'm getting the final piece of the Rhino Build-A-Figure that I need so I can actually construct Rhino, and you'll see a review of that guy coming in the next several days. But let's not jump the gun, we do need to give Superior Venom his due. As we look at the packaging, you will see that Rhino Build-A-Figure emblem at the top, the Spider-Man logo in the center, and then we have a window box packaging with the figure inside. We then have the Marvel Legends Infinite Series logo, and then finally the name for the figure there at the bottom, Superior Venom. Looking at the back of this packaging, we do have an image of Superior Venom there in the center. We've got a bio for this figure. It does read, bonded to the black alien symbiote, Otto Octavius became the 8-legged Superior Venom. Below the image of that figure, we do have that Rhino Build-A-Figure emblem one more time, and then we have a complete lineup of all the figures available in this wave, as well as the Build-A-Figure Rhino pictured off there to the left. Alright guys, well that's the packaging. Let's get this villainous one-hit wonder out of the box and see what he's all about. Alright toy fans, here we have Superior Venom out of the packaging, and as my intro implied, there's not a lot to say history-wise about this version of Venom. Superior Venom is the end result of what you get when you mix the Venom symbiote with the Doc Ock mind-controlled version of Peter Parker from the pages of Superior Spider-Man. It was between the issues of 23 and 25, written by Dan Slott and drawn by Humberto Ramos, where the foul Parker successfully stole the Venom symbiote away from Flash Thompson, aka Agent Venom, before going on a murderous rampage to the streets of New York, attempting to prove he was the all-time superior Venom host. Soon after his rampage began, however, the Avengers showed up to put Spidey in his place, and that's largely it. The story took place in 2014, and here we are in 2015, and the fallout of those events is still being told in the pages of Post-Secret Wars Amazing Spider-Man #1. Now coming into this review, this is the figure that I actually wanted least from the Rhino wave, or I guess I should say I had the least expectations for it, and now that I've got it out of the packaging, I don't think the figure's that bad. He's largely reusing the same molds that we saw with the Spidey 2099 figure and the Amazing Pizza Spidey that we got earlier this year. But he does have some original sculpted pieces in the head, the feet, and then these tendrils coming over his back. Now these tendrils are certainly one of the more unique features about this figure, but they're also one of the weakest. Let's go ahead and start by looking there. As you can see, this Spider-Man does have 4 unique sculpted tendrils coming around the back. They are static, which is kind of disappointing. There's no joints in them, there's no bendy wire, and each tendril is more or less locked into the hole that it's designed to fit. You'll see that this tendril has a very unique, almost bomb-shaped hole that's only designed to fit this particular slot. And as we take a look at another tendril in this figure, you'll notice the peg coming off the end of it fits another uniquely shaped hole. So you're not really meant to move these pieces around very much. Looking at this head sculpt up close, I'm very happy with the results. There's a nice amount of paint detail put throughout the head and the upper torso of this figure. It really sort of mirrors Humberto Ramos' art style, and I like the jagged sort of nature to the teeth and the design, I guess, coming out around the eyes. Coming down the figure, we have a nice paint on the front of the torso. Now, mine is not completely clean, but it's mostly decent. Better than we see on a lot of other figures that are mostly black, kind of like the Agent Venom figure I've already reviewed. But as we bend this figure back, the paintwork has actually continued into the torso, which I like. Flipping the figure around, you'll see that he does have some paint detail on the arms here. Looks just like it did in the comics with that sort of red detail. The hands appear to be reused from the Spidey 2099 figure, and coming down we have a mostly familiar mold, again until we get to the custom sculpted feet. Now the texture is a bit different on the feet than it is on the legs of the figure, but when you're staring at this figure from a few feet away, you're not really going to notice that discrepancy, and he looks pretty good overall. Accessory-wise, Superior Venom comes with the right Build-A-Figure arm for Rhino, and we'll look at that more in detail when I get to that Build-A-Figures review. He then comes with these tendrils as I previously mentioned, and again, there's no articulation in these whatsoever, they're just static objects. They're sculpted really nicely though. I like the way that the talon is kind of coming off the end of the leg there. And there's 2 shorter versions of these legs. They look pretty similar. And then we have 2 longer versions, a little more gnarled than the shorter versions, but they have that same sort of tendril sculpted work that looks really nice, and then they have the talons on the end. And that does it. There's nothing for this Spider-Man figure to hold, so let's go ahead and touch over articulation of the figure. Again, this is very familiar to what we saw with the Spider-Man figures released earlier this year. The head will look up very far and look down very far and rotate all the way around. He's got a butterfly joint in the torso that bends forward and back, and I like that the paint has actually been handled in a way that doesn't break up the look of the figure. I mean, you have to rotate the joint the right way, but it still looks really nice, and I'm a big fan of that. He's got a bicep rotation. His shoulder can hinge up that far and rotate all the way around. It's a little tight. He's got a double jointed elbow that collapses in very nicely. For rotation here at the wrist, the handle bend back that far and bend down that far. He's got an ab crunch, so his body can bend forward that far and bend back very far. For rotation here at the waist, He's got a hip joint so his leg can move forward that far, move back pretty far actually, out from the body a decent amount. He's got an upper thigh swivel, double jointed knees, and then he's got a foot that'll bend forward that far, back that far, and has that Hasbro ankle pivot. So that same great range of motion that we saw with other Spider-Man figures in 2015 has been continued on the Superior Venom figure. Height-wise, we can see that Superior Venom does stand right at 6 1/4 inches tall. For some size comparison, here we have Superior Venom compared to the 2099 Spider-Man, which largely uses the same mold, and last year's Superior Spider-Man figure. And it's worth noting, with Hasbro elongating the torso of Spider-Man figures in 2015, Superior Venom actually stands taller than Superior Spider-Man, despite being the exact same person. Here he is standing next to the Marvel Legends Agent Venom, as well as a Toy Biz Spider-Man Classics Venom figure. And finally, here he is compared to the 6-inch scale Marvel Legends Infinite Series Wolverine. Alright Toy fans, well that's my review of the Marvel Legends Infinite Series Spider-Man Wave Rhino Build-A-Figure Superior Venom, released by Hasbro in 2015. Overall, I think this figure is actually pretty good, at least as far as design and sculpt is concerned, but he's definitely a character that I think we've seen for the first time and the last. And for that reason alone, I can't really encourage you to run out and buy this figure unless you're just such a diehard fan of Slott's run on Spider-Man or Spider-Man characters in general that you just want to complete your entire collection. That said, if your main goal is to finish the Rhino Build-A-Figure of this wave, your best move would probably be to try to find this guy on sale or on clearance. At a lower price point, this one-off character will seem a lot more digestible. Well, thanks for watching this review, guys. I hope you enjoyed it, and a special thanks to Doug for picking this figure up for me. Let me know in the comments below, what one-off character would you guys really like to see an action figure for? Be sure to follow me on Twitter and Instagram, and thanks for watching, guys. We'll see you tomorrow.